We work so you can play. MiniWarGaming's Warhammer Fantasy League Bat
Hey there, MiniWarGamers. Owen here from MiniWarGaming with John to bring you game 13 of the Warhammer Fantasy League, and going up against Dark Elves this time. I'm not playing as them. He has got them, and he's got all the things that I usually like. I'm playing Warriors of Chaos, and we'll get this underway after we show you the armies.
And here we have my 2,500 points of Chaos. And up front, we've got my BSB, and he's basically just a big standard bearer. We've got my Lord, General. He's on a horse. He's got the Scaly Skin. He's got Mark of Tzeentch. He's got a 4 aboard, which puts it down to a 3 aboard, thanks to Mark of Tzeentch, and he rerolls 1s on his board saves. And then we've got a level 2 of Fire and a level 4 of Nurgle Magic. 20 Marauders with Flails and a Banner and Musician, but no Champion. Bunch of Khorne Knights, bunch of Warriors with full command, another group of Flails, a couple little Hounds with Vanguard, and then 2 Chaos spawn, and they're just as is, and then some more Hounds with Vanguard, of course. And there you go, 2,500 points. Then we've got the Dark Elf army, and first thing, he's got a High Beastmaster on a Manticore. We've got a level 2 of Life, level 4 of Dark Magic, and then we've got 12 Crossbowmen, big unit of Spearmen with the Bloodrack Medusae inside the unit, and then we've got another bigger unit of Witches with the Cauldron of Blood, and then a Death Hag, of course, and then we've got a Hydra, and then 2 Repeater Bolt Throwers, and that is 2,500 points of Dark Elves. We deployed off here. Now that is Watchtower. We've got the Chaos on this side here, kind of spread out all along the front. I got to kind of out-deploy him because I had a lot of little units I could throw down, the Hounds and that, before he could really he had to put down his big units. And so most of my army is facing off against his Warriors and Bloodrack Medusae, with most of my Hounds going to try and distract the Witch Elves, and it is Watchtower, and he has the Watchtower, so I get first turn, because that's how that works. So my Hounds are first doing their advanced deploy, or their Vanguard move, rather, and so they get to make a 12-inch move. Now beginning of my turn, charging with my Warriors of Chaos, he gets to do his Overwatch, or stand and shoot, out of the tower there. He gets tons of shots, and I do fail one of my saves, but I have a 6-up board thanks to being Tzeentch, but I do not make it, and so he dies. They need a 5 to make the charge, and they do make it, and so bam, they got stuck on the table, but they do make it. They made it in. So my Chaos Warriors, they make it in, and they're going to be battling it out with the Dark Elves in that tower. My Hounds now march up, and they get in just such a position so that they are redirecting his unit of Witch Elves off out of the way towards me. And my other Hounds march up and stay a little bit behind the building so that even if the Witch Elves get a really good overrun, they're going to hit the building and not hit my other Hounds. My Marauders, I was just double checking here where I can go up to without getting charged. And rolling here, just making sure my frenzy checks the guys who could have actually made it, because it turns out my horses, if I'd rolled boxcars, might have been able to make that charge, which sounds wrong. No, they couldn't have made it. Anyway, I don't know why I rolled frenzy. Shouldn't have, but they move up, and I did make the mistake of not moving my spawn first, because they do have random movement, so I have to do that one before I move my other guys. Does make a little bit of a difference for how you move around your units. It doesn't in a big deal though, because of course I would just move them so they're not in front of my guys anyway, because I had a good idea of where my army was going. So channeling, and then 5+ channel does not make it, so I'm at 6 power dice. He does not channel, so he has 4, so it's 6 to 4. I'm now trying to buff my Warriors so they all have a 5-up feel no pain, or not feel no pain, regeneration. And then Fleshy Abundance, trying to cast down themselves, which does go off, or does not go off, and now the combat begins between the Crossbows and the Warriors of Chaos. So he attacks first, because he does always strike first, which gives him rerolls to hit, and he rerolls 1s to wound, but I make all my saves, and so my Warriors attack, and they get a pretty decent number of wounds. They kill, I think, 4, 5... Yep, 5. So he makes a leadership check on an 8, but he's stubborn because he's in a building, and so I just take a step back, and that is that. We move into the Dark Elves' turn, and the Dark Elf Witches, of course, charge my Hounds, because he's got no choice. He's got to charge them. His General comes flying around there, 20-inch flight, and then these Bloodrack Medusae move up, just kind of hanging out right out front against my army. Magic phase begins, and he rolls terribly and doesn't get very many power dice. I fail my 6-up, but I do make my 5-up channel, because I've got the channeling staff. And he does not get his channels. And first thing he's done is the Ruby Ring of Ruin, which I do dispel, because I wanted to do that. He does Word of Pain now onto my unit of guys out front of the tower, and I try and dispel that, which I do. Because we tied, and so it got stopped. Yeah, the Ruby Ring of Ruin, he actually hit me, but I made my saves is what happened there. Now the combat begins. Or rather, not the combat, but the shooting. He's firing his crossbows out of the tower, trying to kill those guys who are hanging out in front, and I do actually make my 6-up ward save. Thank you, Zinch, and there you go. He tries to fire a bolt throw shot into my spawn, but he only does 1 wound to him, and so he's down to 2 wounds left. Good job, spawn. So he fires another bolt thrower, which hits and wounds and does D3, and it does 3 wounds, and so he dies. Splat, there goes 50 points, but I don't mind because it distracted his bolt throwers. His Hydra comes up and starts spitting fire, trying to kill a few of my Marauders, and he does. And that's pretty much all he can do over here. He's trying to do his glare with his Bloodrack Medusae, which I do fail one of my saves, and I forget that I've got my 5-up regeneration, and I just take those hounds off because they're dead. We're not even gonna roll. They're dead. And they, of course, have to overrun because they are frenzied. So we move into Chaos turn. The Knights are now charging into his unit of Spearmen. And those two are both going to try and charge the Hydra. And, of course, they're going to charge the Watchtower. So first thing, the Knights, they do, of course, make their charge because they're not that far away. And they're cavalry. They're cavalry. That's what they do. And they, of course, are wielding ensorcelled weapons. They do not have lances because ensorcelled weapons are far better, in my opinion, than the lances are. I'd rather be stronger all the time than be a lot stronger some of the time. And so trying to charge here, and of course I failed that charge because they were ready to maximize frontage. That's why they're off to the side, and we fix that in just a moment. My hounds move up, and they get in such a way that they will continue to distract the Witch Elves so they don't get to they don't get to head over towards the combat. My spawn tries to get into the combat, but he unfortunately doesn't make it. The magic phase begins with a solid 9 power dice, and I do get 1 channel, and I don't get the other one, so 10 power dice. Now we forgot that we have to roll for the wizard inside of the unit of Witch Elves in case they take D6 wounds, I believe it is, or at least a number of wounds from being in there, because the Witch Elves basically go crazy and try and kill her. But they didn't. So Fulminating Flame Cage goes off and traps him, and he takes a D6 hits. And now if he makes any movements, he's going to take a whole bunch of hits on this unit. But he does have magic resist, so it's not that big of a hit. He's going to have a 4-up ward save against everything, but still, it's hits. And so here we go, moving into the combat. He brings out his assassin, getting ready to fight. And so he decided to avoid my champion because he doesn't want to fight my lord, because my lord would probably live. So he goes after my BSB. He hits with 3 of his attacks, re-rolling to hit because he's always strike first. Wounds with 2, re-rolling to wound with 1s, and so, or all to wound. Yeah, he's got the cauldron there. So I fail my normal save, and he dies. Blam. Because he does have killing blow, I believe. But either way, he kills him. And so my lord has not gotten to attack yet, but just trying to do my attack here. There's my regen save, which he fails, and so he's dead. And now we're going to be moving into the big unit of regular warriors after the Bloodrack does their thing. Because first off, she attacks, and everyone in base to base have to do initiative tests, or they get killed with no armor saves allowed, which is really terrible for me because, well, not really. I have a high initiative, so I shouldn't be dying as bad as I am, but every now and then those dice just betray you. So here we go. The Spearmen are attacking, hitting on 4s, re-rolling as they try and kill my general. And I do have to make 2 saves, which I make because I have a 2-up save. The other ones are attacking just the regular unit, and they, of course, have a 1+ armor save, and so he's going to try and have to get through that with his normal guys here. And he does get quite a few wounds, but 1-up save, and I fail 1, but I've got a 5-up regen, which I do fail that. So I lose another knight, and that's that. So my lord attacks, and he's got tons of attacks because he's got the Sword of Battle, I believe it is. It gives him +2 attacks. So he just does a bunch of wounds. And now the rest of the unit attacks, hitting on 3s, wounding on 2s, and they just started devastating the spearmen themselves. And 2 more, and 2 more, and 2 more, 11. And then the horses attack, doing another 2 more wounds because he's only got light armor. Oh, he's got a light armor and shield. He should have a 6-up save against this. Okay, there we go. That was the guys in the back row. Now the horses are attacking. And they do 2 wounds, and he does have a 6-up save against this, so he fails them. And so 3 more get killed, which is actually not quite enough. There we go. So he's rolling for his leadership, and he's running. and he flees, and we overrun, and that is the end of the Bloodrack Medusae and its unit of guys. Because he only had one guy in the back rank there, so it wasn't quite enough. Or at least he didn't have enough in the back rank. And so here we go. Combat begins between the Hydra and the Marauders. The Marauders do go first, and they do 4 wounds to him, so he's down to 1, but they did not quite kill him, which is really bad for them because the Hydra is probably going to kill them. So it attacks back, killing 3 of them with its attacks. Now it stomps 3 more times, which kills 3 more guys. And so I lose 6 of my Marauders to his 4 wounds with the charge and the banner. I should have won that combat, actually. But I flee. And, oh, they didn't have a banner. That's why. Or do they have a banner? No, they don't have a banner. That's why I lost. But anyway. Close combat begins between the Chaos Warriors and the Dark Elves in the tower. And once again, the Dark Elves in the tower don't do very much because Chaos Warriors are heavily armored and Dark Elves are not that strong. And the Warriors kill them all and take it over. But they can't go in it because unfortunately there are more than 20 of them in that unit, and we had agreed that it has a max capacity of 20 to get into that tower. And so the charge begins for the Dark Elves, and he runs my poor Marauders off the board. The Lord on a Dread, or the High Beastmaster on the Manticore tries to charge in the flank, and he does not make it. And the Witch Elves charge the Hounds, which they do make it. And now, because he moved, they all take a Strength 4 hit, or Strength 3 hit, either way. A bunch of them die, but he makes a phenomenal number of 4-up saves there. And so he only loses a few, but I still do a number of wounds to him, which is what the whole point of it was. And then it expires. And there we go. Rolling off just for a few characters there, and they're okay. So we've rolled into the Dark Elf magic phase, and he's trying to reduce the weapon skill, ballistic skill initiative of my guys. So he reduces it by 2, and that's basically what happens there. He then puts Frenzy on his own guys, or double Frenzy, so his Witch Elves have even more attacks, and they're ready to go. And now he's shooting his bolt throwers, trying to kill my other spawn, because that's what he does. He fails to wound it, and so combat begins, and all of my Hounds die, and that is that. The Witch Elves overrun, but they hit the building, so they stop right there, because we agreed that it's impassable. So the end of the Dark Elf turn there, my Chaos Sorcerer here walks away from the unit, because I want to get into the Watchtower, because whoever holds the Watchtower wins the game. And so my Fire Sorcerer and a few of my guys, of course, all walk inside of there. The Chaos Warriors all do a about face, or they're not warriors, but they're just Marauders. My creature turns around, and that's that. Magic phase begins, getting a couple power dice. He does channel. And so Fulminating Flame Cage, once again, trying to hit his unit, but he does not want to get hit by that again, and so it is dispelled. Shooting the Ruby Ring, gets 1 shot, does 1 wound, and he fails it, and it kills him. And that's that. So I try and fire a mid-level fireball off, which does go off, and does a few wounds here. Now, it was easier to cast because I did have the bonus for hitting him with another fire spell earlier, which was the Ruby Ring. So, a little bit of a benefit. Or the idea of bonus, or compounding your fireballs or fire magic spells. Dark Elf turn, he charges in with his Manticore, getting in there, and he easily makes it in. These guys try and do a swift reform, so he can turn and face the building with his big unit, and they do succeed after re-rolling, thanks to the fact they've got their BSB right there. And he turns around with his Hydra, turning around to face my unit. Rolling off magic phases, channeling, no channeling, channels, channel, no channel. And that's basically how that goes. He then tries to curse my guys over there, just trying to do a whole bunch of damaging shots at them, which is what dark magic does, but unfortunately I do dispel it. And so he then aims for my wizard, shooting his ballista, and puts him down to 1 wound, but he's got another one, which fires off tons of hits, tons of wounds, and I fail my saves, and I lose my level 4, which was really silly that he was out there. I kind of messed up that quite a bit, but it happens, and it's unfortunate, and that's the way it goes. There you go, 5+, 6+ as the Manticore starts killing one of my guys, because I challenged, because I have to challenge, and that's basically how it goes. He gets killed. I actually do a wound, though, as I go down, but my champion, my fire mage, dies. There it is, my champion dies. That's why I pulled that guy out and knocked him over. So you can see that the champion is now dead. Because he's a Chaos champion, he has to accept the challenge and issue a challenge, and so he's dead now. So next time it'll have to be my Chaos Sorcerer who accepts and challenges and dies, because everybody's going to die against that guy, because he's really good at fighting. Chaos turn begins, and we are charging in with the Marauders, going after the Hydra again, because Marauders are crazy like that. My cavalry, of course, charged into the Bolt Thrower, or they will in a moment. Actually, no, it looks like I am going to charge the unit of Witch Elves. Whew, what was I thinking? But we're going for it, so Chaos Knights against the Witch Elves, and this little guy moves up, not quite getting into the combat. Wishes he could, but not yet. Here we go, shooting off some fire spells, trying trying to get some wounds off, trying to do the burning or flaming sword of ruin, which doesn't go off. Trying to use a fireball on the manticore, which doesn't go off, and that's that. So nothing really happened in Magic. Here we go, Marauders going in, 4s and 3s, or 4s and 4s rather. But he makes one of his saves, and he's back down to 2. And so he attacks back, misses quite badly there and only kills 1, but he has his Thunder Stomp, which he gets all 6, and he kills another 4 more guys, which is good for him, but I am stubborn. Bam, I win combat. There you go, it was wounds, wounds, banner rank, charge. There we go. But he passes leadership, and that's that. So the combat begins here. Now, the Witch Elves are going all kinds of first, and he wouldn't challenge. I tried to challenge because I have to challenge, and so my commander tried to challenge him. He refused with his sorceress, so she went to the back, which saved her because I would have killed her if he didn't go to the back with her. And instead, I killed his other guy with my champion in the challenge there, and got a bonus to my attacks, I believe it was. Yeah, I think it was an extra attack on my champion in the unit. And so basically he's just throwing his Witch Elves at me now, and they get 4s to hit, rerolling to hit, 6s are poisoned, 5s to wound, rerolling to wound. Yeah, it's just lots of attacks. So he ends up killing 2 of my knights, despite my really good saves, just because of volume of attacks. Attacking back now, hitting him on 3s, wounding him on 2s, because they're strength 5 and he's only toughness 3, and so they die pretty easy. But he has a ward save, so it's very hard to actually out and out kill them. Here's my Lord going, getting 2 more wounds, killing 2 more guys if he fails his saves, which he only fails 1. And so only one of them gets killed. His Death Hag is, of course, slain, which we kind of messed up there, because it's a chariot. It's not a monstrous mount, so killing her should have killed the Cauldron of Blood. But, yeah, don't know what I was thinking there. Anyway, so still attacking, killing with my regular guys. Horses are attacking now, doing 2 more wounds, and now taking a horse kick against his sorcerer, which does not wound. And so his leadership is 9, which he does pass, and so he stays in combat. The Dark Elf turn begins, he gets D3 extra attacks on his Manticore, he moves into combat, getting in there, makes a charge, bam, bam, in combat. There we go. Magic phase, trying to get some spells, but his wizards are mostly dead. My wizards are mostly dead, or they will be soon. He debuffs my guy's weapon skill and whatnot again, because that's what they do. Trying to shoot his vortex off into my unit, which fails to cast, and so that's that. He shoots his bolt thrower now, trying to kill off my surviving spawn, but it does survive with 1 wound. Challenge with the sorcerer there, he gets 3 hits, and he does a few wounds there, and I get my attacks before the Manticore, so I'm trying to attack. I get 1 hit, and oh, that was my armor saves. Derp. There we go, and 3 to hit, or 1 hit, 1 wound. And he fails his save, but he's got a ward save, 4+, and he makes it. So he doesn't die, and now he attacks back, and Manticore is just going to kill this guy. So he actually got 2 hits, so it's not that good. 3s to wound, he does 2 wounds, got a 5-up, 6-up, or 6-up, 6-up, sorry. And so I make 1 save, and I'm down to 1 wound, and I stay alive. But, does another wound with his stomp, and I make that save as well. And he steps back as I make my stubborn. So I actually won combat, or at least I didn't die, which was hilarious. These guys are trying to kill the Hydra, and he makes a 6-up again, so he's still down to 1 wound. He won't die, because that's what Hydras do. Attacks back, killing 2 of them outright. Then he Thunder Stomps for another 2, wounding on 2s, which kills 2. They're just getting killed. But I pass my leadership and stay. Combat here begins over between the Lords and everyone. Yeah, the chariot should be dead right now, but doesn't matter. Everybody makes mistakes. So, rolling my saves against his poisoned and craziness, but I do live. Now he's attacking the rest of the unit with the big unit of Witch Elves. Hitting on 3s now, re-rolling, and then re-rolling to wound, and yeah, it's lots of dice. A lot of dice get thrown around when you play Witch Elves, but I have a 2-up save. I failed 1 guy died, and that's basically how it goes. Attacking back, hitting him on 4s, wounding on 2s. He has a 4-up ward, but it's not really good enough to save him from just powerful hits. And so he fails another 3 more over there, so more get killed. He's down to the last, more or less, rank. The horse is now attacking, and bam, he fails his leadership. I pursue on a 7, and he runs 6, 5.
Handshake. It was a good game. It is a chaos victory. We're going to call it at this point because they're stuck in combat, but It doesn't matter because those knights have now barreled through 2 super blocks thanks to magic and cheating. Both these things combined. I'm going to voice over this anyway. But Manticore could not quite push them out. Tried very hard though. And leave a comment below. Let us know if we made any mistakes. What you would have done differently. Like that we forgot once again to roll for that wizard at the end of your previous turn. But that's okay. And yeah. So stay tuned for more games from the Warhammer Fantasy League.
Click below to join the MiniWarGaming Vault and get a 7-day free trial. Inside you'll get access to many more battle reports and painting tips, all associated to MiniWarGaming and wargaming in general. Happy wargaming.